I want to show you something. It's infrared drone video posted online by Ukraine's 67th Mechanized Brigade. Those white dots, Russian vehicles on the move. This was from an attack early this month that experts now say shows a key Ukrainian vulnerability.
Normally, Ukraine has enough artillery shells and other munitions to strike one vehicle, strike it repeatedly, get that column to bunch up, and then hit vehicle by vehicle and kind of stop it in its place. If you look at that footage, Ukrainian forces don't really achieve that.
Ukraine has been starving for ammunition, bullets, artillery shells. They don't have enough. Those Russian vehicles, they were on their way to a tiny city called Chasiv Yar. It's just west of the ruined city of Bakhmut, and right on the edge of a vast swath of territory inside Ukraine that Russia now controls. Pre-war, that city was just a dot on a map. 12,000 people lived there. The city's biggest industry, manufacturing concrete and bricks. But this is what it looks like now, a mess of concrete and brick. Chasiv Yar is on the front line.
Moscow's next big target is now to capture the Ukrainian town of Chasiv Yar.
Chasiv Yar has been used as a regrouping point and forward artillery base for the Ukrainian army.
Both sides, Ukraine and Russia, desperately want this piece of land. I'll explain why. Geography explains two ways this area is so important. First, think of Chasiv Yar as a hub. If Russia manages to gain control, that becomes a staging ground to attack several other cities, Kostiantynivka and Drushkivka to the west, and the much bigger cities of Kramatorsk and Slovyansk to the north.
These are major cities that form the backbone of Ukraine's defense in Donetsk Oblast.
Losing Chasiv Yar would provide a direct route for the Russian army to advance towards these so-called fortress cities in the Donbass.
Opening up Chasiv Yar would allow Russia greater access to these towns, not only, of course, directly capturing this logistics hub and being able to move up, but also bringing them within more easy range for strikes with artillery.
And if those towns fall, I'm not saying they will, but Chasiv Yar makes them much more vulnerable, then the Russians are in a position to push further west.
Chasiv Yar would also be really hard to take back. And I'll show you why. So this is a map of Ukraine that I have here. It's from the Institute for the Study of War. That's a Washington-based think tank. This red area along the south and the east, that's Russian controlled. If I zoom in to this part of the country, you can see the city of Chasiv Yar appears, and it's right on the front line of the war. It looks like any other part of the country, but if I zoom in and I rotate it this way, this topographical view, you can see, and I should point out that the elevations here are a little bit exaggerated so you can see it more clearly. But what's important is that Chasiv Yar is on high ground. If you control this city, you can see in virtually all directions, either towards Russia's army or Ukraine's. Within months of the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Chasiv Yar became a target. A missile strike on a residential building killed dozens of people. That same day, the city's only railway station was destroyed by Russian rocket fire. By that point, the city's mayor had long fled. And today, though there are still people living in Chasiv Yar, mostly seniors who refuse to leave their homes, the city looks like a war zone. Its buildings are broken, its basements turned into bunkers. According to British intelligence, Russia's Air Force is dropping 20 to 30 munitions on Chasiv Yar per day. Sukhoi 25s and 34s armed with glide bombs that have these pop-out wings, allowing them to literally glide forward, sometimes dozens of kilometers, until they hit their target. And Ukraine is struggling to defend. Their forces are exhausted.
We need big reinforcements. Many people here are tired.
Their supplies are dwindling.
They have a huge deficit. For each artillery shell the Ukrainians lob, the Russians can lob 7 to 10.
We've seen a whole lot of footage of Russian tactical aircraft operating unimposed right over Chasiv Yar. And so that indicates that Ukrainian forces probably don't have sufficient air defense assets.
They need ammunition to repel the constant waves of Russian troops. They need artillery to hold back tanks. They need Patriot missile defense launchers to prevent incoming aerial attacks. And they need F-16 fighter jets to control the skies. Basically, they're struggling to hold on. And Russia's strategy seems to be to overwhelm with sheer numbers.
Ukrainian sources will routinely call these meat assaults. These are just assaults where it's one assault group after another after another.
They're very close. Chasiv Yar is divided by a canal, and the latest information that I've been able to glean is that the Russians are on the eastern side of the canal.
That canal is key. It cuts Chasiv Yar in two, and it'll make it harder for Russian infantry to cross. But Ukraine's commanders believe Russia has 20 to 25,000 troops ready to storm the city, and that they're on deadline. May 9th is a big day in Russia. It marks the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany in 1945.
I think definitely Putin would like to have the May Day parade with Chasiv Yar in his pocket to show that the war is actually making progress.
They may believe that May 9th might be a possible date because of the constraints that Ukrainian forces currently have. They may believe that they have a window of opportunity and that anything beyond May 9th may become more difficult.
More difficult because Ukraine's president is expecting reinforcements. It was just a few days ago. The U.S. House approved a $61 billion aid package, most of it military aid for Ukraine.
We're going to begin sending in equipment to Ukraine for air defense munitions, for artillery, for rocket systems, and armored vehicles.
Now there's a deadline, there's urgency. Everything turns on how swiftly Ukraine can actually stabilize the front line with the assistance of the aid that's going to be coming in.
Now, we should be clear, nothing about war is straightforward. There's no guarantee the Russians can capture Chasiv Yar, and no guarantee that even if they did, they could easily turn that into further gains. But it's also hard to know exactly how long it will take for U.S. aid to get through to Ukraine's front line. Our experts tell us it could be weeks, and Ukraine will just have to hold on, or else risk losing much more than just a tiny city on a hill.